Hello again. Welcome back to CropLife Retail Week. I'm Paul Schrimpf, and Eric Svilagoy is on the road at the Mid-American Ag Industry Association Conference in Illinois. So I have with me Dan Jacobs from Farm Chemicals International, or FCI, our sister publication. They bring a little international perspective this week. Thanks for joining us, Dan.
Glad to be here.
One of the things, I think the big thing in the news this week for us is consolidations. We saw the United Suppliers and Land O'Lakes deal came final this week. There's still components of it, specifically crop nutrients, that will happen in 2017, but the other two aspects, the seed and crop protection, are both moving forward apace. And then we also had the announcement that West Central Co-op and Farmers Co-op in Iowa are looking at unification as well. There is some overlap to their areas, but there's also, I think, plenty of space where they'll be able to grow into new areas for one another. It seems to be pretty complementary. Farmers Co-op's number 18 on the CropLife 100. West Central is number 44, and the ratios of crop protection, seed, and fertilizer are very similar. So it looks like could be a very compatible relationship, and should be interesting watching that going forward. And then, of course, just a little earlier this week, we got the notification that the Syngenta Monsanto deals kind of not off entirely, at least cooled off a lot. And I know, Dan, that's something you've been following for FCI as well. Any thoughts on what's going on there?
Sure. When Monsanto announced that it was going after Syngenta, that certainly set reverberations through the industry. And then earlier this week, the company announced that after its final pitch had been rejected by Syngenta, that they were just going to drop the deal and sort of pursue other options. It was a $46 billion deal that Monsanto walked away from, and Syngenta walked away from, I guess, as well. So Monsanto said it's going to resume its 2-year, $10 billion share buyback program. Also, Michael Frank, who is the global vice president for Syngenta, said that if we don't acquire Syngenta, we'll still be on Plan A. It won't be Syngenta; it will be somebody else or somebody's else. So we can expect to still see a lot of movement from Monsanto. Interesting, as a side note, Syngenta's shareholders said that they were going to ask the board, basically, where is the money going to come from, the billions of dollars that they walked away from that Monsanto was going to provide. They're going to look to find out how Syngenta's board is going to build that value back into the company. So it should be really interesting to see how these two companies move forward over the next few years.
Yeah, it's probably not the end of the story. I think consolidation overall has got retailers a little bit reflective, and maybe this announcement's driving a little of the consolidation that we're seeing. And everyone wants to make sure that they have enough economy of scale to compete. They want to make sure that they're able to choose a number of partners. They're seeing potentially the number of partners go down by yet another in the crop protection side, and I think retailers are somewhat concerned that if we get down to 3 or 4 basics, that their choices are going to start getting a little more limited, and they'll have a little less control. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of comes down over the next couple months, if that continues. Also, you had some thoughts on China, I think, and everything that's been going on over there.
Yeah, anybody that's been paying any attention to the economy knows that the stock market just plunged for 5 days, and then the last couple of days it's seen somewhat of a rebound, and generally the thought is that is as a result of China's slowdown. China is the world's second largest economy, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Its economic slowdown over the next couple of years. I mean, China moved from a communist country to a centrally controlled capitalist market, and that was in the late 1970s, and it's seen more than 25 years of double-digit growth. Over the last couple of years, beginning in 2013, it's still growing, but at a much smaller pace, just 7%. This year is expected to be under 7%, and in 2016 even low 6%. So how that's going to affect the industry is going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah. Let's and we're paying more attention to the global market because it is a global market in agriculture more so than ever, and our retailers are definitely watching the impact of things that are happening around the world on their businesses. Well, thanks for joining us today, Dana. Appreciate you coming.
My pleasure.
That's it for this edition of Retail Week, and we'll see you next week.